What's good, everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shella and I am an LLB degree holder, and I'm also an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa. And in this video, I will be sharing with you the 7 things that I wish I knew before I started studying law. So get comfortable, grab a snack and a drink or a pen and a paper. While you're at it, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and drop down to the comments and let's engage. So get comfortable and let's get into this video. This video is based on my experience and the things that I went through before getting admitted as an attorney. So this video is more attorney based as opposed to other paths that you can take with your LLB degree. But I think in general, it'll help all LLB students in making certain decisions and knowing certain things that I wish I knew before I started. Number 1 on the list, not getting into a top 5 law firm is not the end of the world. I know this might sound weird to some of you who are working towards getting into a top 5 law firm. And I'm not saying don't. What I'm saying is if you don't make it into one of the top 5 law firms, don't feel bad. It really isn't the end of the world. Imagine how many graduates there are each and every year and how many places there are in top 5 law firms. We all can't make it into the top 5. I was not in a top 5 law firm. I didn't even have articles in my final year of study. I only got articles after I graduated. So this is just to tell you that there isn't really like only one way of getting to being an admitted attorney of the High Court. If you don't make it, into a top 5 law firm, that's fine. There's still, medium-sized firms. There's still small firms that you can learn so much from. From experience, I can tell you there are so many amazing attorneys that I know who are making a great impact in the legal field, and they didn't even start out in a top 5 law firm. Some didn't even start out in a medium-sized law firm. Some started out with, just them and their principals, just, the one-man shows, the attorneys who are just running the whole thing by themselves. I know candidate attorneys who started out like that, and now they're making such a great impact in the legal field. I also didn't make it into a top 5 law firm, but things turned out well for me as well. So don't despair, don't give up, always keep pushing. Number 2 on the list. The second thing that I wish that I knew before studying my LLB degree is that there's so much more beyond attorney and advocate. Now, let me tell you, when I started out with my LLB degree, I was like, these are the 2 ways. This is what this degree can do for you. And boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. There's so much beyond being, an attorney and advocate. I really advise you to research. See what it is that you can do with this degree. I remember when I was in my 3rd year, and everyone was just talking about how getting articles is so difficult and the legal field is so saturated, like it's so full. Everyone is just flocking to be an attorney. Everyone is just flocking to be an advocate. I remember I had so much anxiety thinking, am I even going to make it? Like, if there's so many graduates, are we all going to be attorneys and advocates? And the answer is no, absolutely not. That's why you need to do your research. It isn't just these 2 streams. People are doing amazing things with their LLB degrees. People are going abroad with their LLB degrees. So don't just limit it to these 2. Broaden your horizons, open up your mind, do research. Don't be lazy to invest in your career, especially research wise. That's going to open up so many doors for you, because if you don't research and you limit yourself to only what you've heard or only what you've been exposed to, you'll find that in the early stages of your career, you might miss out on opportunities that don't necessarily, that are not necessarily broadcasted, but things that you have to research and connect with people in order to get. So you might find that your early stages in your career are frustrating because you feel like you sort of don't fit into the attorney spectrum, or you don't fit in, with being an advocate, and then you start getting frustrated as if there's nothing else you can do. So invest in your career by researching. There's in-house counsel, legal advisor, mediator, a clerk, a registrar. Like, there is so much that you can do. Like, these are the ones that I can think of top of my head, but these are not the only ones. Trust me when I say these are not the only ones. That's why I advise you to research, invest in that research, and talk to people, watch videos, read articles, just research. Number 3, the period of serving articles defines so much of your career. Now, let me explain why I say this. So, there are certain things that, we think we like, or certain things that we actually are passionate about, until we get to practice, until we actually get to do them practically, that we realize that maybe this is not for me. When I was a student, I dreaded the law of contracts. I did not like the law of contracts. I felt like I did not even understand the law of contracts. It was that one module. That one module, the law of contracts, was that module for me. And I didn't really do so well. I mean, I passed, but I didn't do so well in the law of contracts. And when I got to practice, the law of contracts just became something totally different. Today, look who's enjoying the vetting and drafting of contracts. This girl over here is the one who's enjoying all of that. And I tell you, in varsity, if you had told me that this is where I'd be, my answer would have been hell to the no. I am never gonna do that, because I found the law of contracts so difficult in varsity. For other people, you get to practice and litigation just bites you. It just grabs you and you love it, and you're like, this is what I want. So you need to be open-minded while you're doing your articles. I know for most of us, we don't really get to pick the firms that we work in, because just getting articles is already a struggle in itself. Like, the process of getting articles is tedious. The applying for jobs, not getting responses, and just limited space. I know that most of us don't get to go to firms that we had hoped to go into, but when you do get articles and you are exposed to certain things, take that to mind. Assess, see what it is that you like, what you don't like, what it is that you can take, and you might actually be surprised where life takes you. Number 4, VAC work / volunteering before you graduate is important. Now, let me tell you, there are certain things that people don't have time to teach you in practice. Now, if you are going to be serving your articles in a small firm or a medium-sized firm, there aren't really a lot of staff in the firm, for somebody to be babying you all the way. Like, it's like, especially in small law firms, it's like you're thrown into the deep end in the beginning. So there's certain things that, people won't be able to teach you, not because they don't want to, but because there's no time to teach you, like, the small little things. That's where, VAC work / volunteering helps. I know from experience, when I was in my third year, I used to live in Braamfontein. I volunteered at the Law Society's pro bono office at the High Court in Johannesburg. So I could walk there. I didn't have to use any transport, thank God, because I was a broke student. So I volunteered my services at the High Court. I didn't understand what it did for me until I started serving articles. When I started serving articles, and there were so many things that I knew before my principal even taught me, I was so thankful, and I was so amazed, because, I was in a small law firm, so my principal didn't really have time to like baby me and teach me like everything step by step. So small things like, actually, let me not even say small things. Things like going to the High Court. The High Court did not confuse me at all. Like, it wasn't even daunting when I started my articles and my principal had sent me to the High Court to do something like filing or, setting a matter down. Nothing fazed me. When I got to the High Court, it felt like, it felt familiar, because it was familiar. There were people that I knew as well. When I needed help, I knew exactly where to go. So don't underestimate the value that volunteering can actually do for you in practice. It's more important for you personally, as an aspiring attorney, than it is for your CV. When you get to practice and you know certain things, it it just gives you that boost, man, that confidence. Because for most of us, when we get to articles, we are blank, like blank, blank, blank. So when you do have some experience in the legal field, it also just gives you that confidence. You're able to contribute, to the firm in some way, So don't underestimate the importance of just getting out there and, putting yourself out there and volunteering your services, even if it's not for a fee. I know it's difficult to not do it for a fee, but if you can do it, somewhere close to you where you don't have to spend any money, I really, really, really encourage you to do that. You will see when you start practice, or when you start, with your articles, pupillage, or whatever, just having some knowledge, some working knowledge of the legal field proves to be extremely beneficial. Number 5 on the list, and that is building connections. Building connections is so important, and don't feel like, now you have to like literally go out of your way in order to meet people. You don't have to go out of your way. If you're still in school, you've got your lecturers, you've got, your peers. Don't underestimate the value of mingling with your peers. I know for a fact, like I was a mingler. I think anyone who went to varsity with me will tell you I was a mingler. But at that point, it wasn't because I was like, oh, I'm trying to build connections. I think that's just like how I am. But because that happened, I can tell you it helps so much. Like when you are doing your articles, you are going to need those people that you went to varsity with. I remember when I didn't understand a certain thing, or I needed assistance in terms of drafting whatever, I needed a template, or whatever it is that I needed, I knew that I could quickly go into my WhatsApp group, my varsity WhatsApp group, because we had a varsity WhatsApp group that is still continuing. We actually still have that. I would quickly just go into the group and ask for a template. One of the 200 people will have it. Your next promotion or your next step is not going to come from the sky. It's going to come from somebody here on this earth who's willing to sign, or somebody who's willing to recommend you, and that is where connections come in. Number 6, be passionate about this profession. Let me tell you, it's not easy. Doing your LLB degree, not easy. If you're doing your master's as well, not easy. Articles, not easy. Practice, not easy. There's just a certain level of, I would say, sacrifice required in this profession. But if you are passionate, it's not more of like a sacrifice, but more of like, passion-driven actions. So when doors slam in your face and things are not working out the way you thought that they would work out, it is your passion that will keep you going. If you're not passionate about it, it's so easy to give up, because there are so many points in this whole thing that would lead you to give up if you're not passionate. Only that, like there's a distinct difference between somebody who is passionate and somebody who's just doing things for the sake of doing. You can see even in the quality of a passionate student's assignment. You can see, the effort that they put into studying. You can easily see a passionate attorney and one who is not passionate about the law. Like, it's so clear as day. It's so clear who is passionate and who is not. And you don't want to live your life doing something that you're not passionate about, especially something that is so strenuous on the human body as the practice of law. I'm not exaggerating the hardships or the difficulties of studying law, or just getting into the legal profession in general. For most people, they study their LLB degree on study loans and, these programs that you have to pay back when you finish with your LLB degree. And then thereafter comes, articles or pupillage. I'm just going to speak on articles or pupillage, the little that I do know on that, because that's what I've been exposed to. So then comes articles, and when I started with articles, there were requirements that you had to have a car. Most firms required you to have a car. Now there's a burden of trying to acquire a car. I'm trying to get articles, trying to pay back the study loan. For Black people, there's black tax as well. And you are just trying to live. And it's not financially rewarding for most people in the beginning. I mean, if you're doing pupillage and you're not getting paid anything, that is already such a big burden, because somebody has to be paying for your food, your accommodation, your transport. If you're doing your articles and you are getting an amount that is not even enough to survive. If you're getting paid like 4,000 rand, like, the financial burden is just, it's a lot. And you find that in the beginning of your career, this legal field is not as rewarding as you thought it was going to be. And there's just all this pressure and all these burdens that are just on top of you. It's so easy to give up. Like, if you're not passionate about it, if you don't feel like this is your calling, it's so easy to be like, I'm not doing this. So you need to be passionate. I really implore you to think, are you really passionate about this? Is this something that you see yourself doing? For some people, for a year or two without getting, real rewards for it, without getting real financial rewards from it. So is it something that you're willing to do? So see if you're really passionate about this, because if you're not, the sacrifices won't be worth it in the end. The last point, number 7, taking care of your mental health. I did not know this. Like, before I started with my LLB degree, I was just like, look, we cruising over here, like, we're just going to do this LLB degree. Yes, it is difficult, whatever, but I didn't take care of my mental health. In varsity, I ignored my mental health, and I think I only got away with it until I started articles. Then everything just came on me like a ton of bricks. You need to take time out for yourself. You need to check in with yourself. Like, are you okay? Are you coping? Is the work too much? What is it that you can do to sort of alleviate the workload or the stress that you are experiencing? I got to a point where I crashed in my articles. There was a point I was even like, I'm gonna leave my articles and just not continue. But what kept me going was that I knew that I wanted to do this, but it was so hard because I wasn't taking care of my mental health. I was not actively doing anything to better my mental health. And being an attorney or being in practice, you might not realize it, but there's also like a therapist role that you play, because you're listening to people. Some people come to you and they're consulting and they're crying the whole 45 minutes. That affects you in some way. You might not see it at that present moment when it's happening, but these things, like always hearing people's pains and always being the one to solve people's problems, does get tiring, and it does weigh on your mental health. In my point of crashing, I remember so well that it was like I had just stopped living. It was like I didn't know what was wrong with me. I remember I was always physically sick. I would get sick physically, and I would take time off from work and go to the doctor. And when I explained my symptoms, I remember this one time that I explained my symptoms, and the doctor started asking me questions, and not regarding my physical condition, but my mental state. I think you could see that, like, my body being sick is a reaction to what is happening in my mind. Like, I'm unable to fathom so many things. I don't know if I'm going or coming. I'm like a zombie. So I got diagnosed with depression. And I'm not saying it's because I'm doing articles I got diagnosed with depression. No, what I'm saying is that I neglected my mental health. And because of this strenuous work that we do as attorneys, that affected me. So it was at that point I realized that no, I am too young to be taking pills because of depression. I was like, no, there's something that I need to do. There's certain things that I'm neglecting in my life, and they're showing now. The signs are showing now. So I started implementing just small little things into my daily routine that will just bring me back to self. So I started implementing certain things and, small little habits here and there that have helped me tremendously. Don't carry the burden alone. If you are perplexed or you don't understand certain things, reach out to your lecturers. That's what they're there for. Reach out to your student advisors, your tutors. Reach out to them, and they'll be able to assist you. If you are doing your articles, reach out to somebody in the firm. Reach out to the friends that you were in varsity with. Reach out to somebody. Don't try to do everything by yourself. You are not born an attorney. You are training to be an attorney, and in training you need to ask questions, because this is not something that you were born knowing. So there's no shame in asking. Remove the shame that you associate with asking. Especially in this field, you'll be asking, even if you're a silk, you are senior counsel, you are, you know, senior partner in a firm, you will always be asking because things are constantly changing. So take care of your mental health, eat well, be healthy in your body, be healthy in the mind, and you will see how it just makes the practice of law or studying law so much easier. I wish I knew this, you know, before. I think there are so many things that I would have avoided had I known this before. So I implore you to take care of your mental health and just take care of yourself and take some time out. If you need time out, take time out and just take care of yourself. You can't be out there solving everyone's problems while you're not taking care of yourself. And that is it. Those are the 7 things that I wish I knew before I started studying law. And I hope that this helps you and you start implementing some of these points and taking certain things into consideration, doing research on what you can do with your LLB degree and all these other things that I have mentioned already. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video just as much as I had fun filming it. And until the next video, thank you so much for watching. Drop down to the comment section and let me know what you think. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments as well and let us engage. And until my next video, sending you tons of love and light, sending you strength, everyone in the legal field, sending you all you know, strength, all you students, all you article clerks, all you, you know, practicing attorneys, non-practicing attorneys, just everyone in the legal field, sending you tons of love and light. And until the next video, bye.